In today's multicultural world, where people very easily can go from one cultural group to another cultural group to another cultural group, cultural identity gets really interesting. When we only stay within a single cultural group, we will only have a single cultural identity. But once we start crossing cultural boundaries and living for extended periods of time in another culture, we actually form another cultural identity, side by side with our first cultural identity. So as individuals, if we move from one cultural group to another cultural group quite frequently, we actually develop multiple cultural identities. So for example, I grew up in Canada, so I've got a Canadian cultural identity. I've worked a lot in the United States, so I have an American cultural identity. I've lived in Australia, so I have an Australian cultural identity. And I've lived in Japan, so I have a Japanese cultural identity. So I can actually juggle multiple cultural identities within my one overall identity as an individual.